I love the two glasses going on.
Listen, I have a lot of glasses. It's hard to see.
Well, you got to see near, you got to see far, you got to see everywhere.
Jen,
who do we
do
have?
you know how much? Do you know how much I love you?
I love you so much, but I also love our guest that I haven't seen in so freaking long.
Who
is it? Tell me who it is.
Paulie Litt.
What's up, Paulie?
There he is. Oh, thank you so much for being here. And I love.
What's happening,
if I had enough hair,
doing?
if for people who can't see him, he's got a little. What would you call that?
A man bun.
A man bun. I'm not cool enough to have a man bun. Paulie.
Can we call it a mun?
Oh my God, a mun.
A mun. It's a man bun.
It's a mun.
So for everybody listening and for those at home, you might know Paulie from playing Frankie in the first season. He was kind of an antagonist to Justin and messed with Alex a little bit, and then came back, surprise, as a totally different character, Joey, in season 3.
Which was Dad bugging out. Is that right, Paulie?
Yeah. That was that weird episode where you were all slimy and you were a cockroach.
I was a cockroach.
It was your favorite costume.
I have to geek out a little bit right now, Paulie, because when you were on the show, what were you, 11?
Yeah, something like that the first time. Something.
Yeah.
When you came on set and you just slayed, that's what the kids say nowadays,
true.
Slayed, right? So I was dying with laughter, and I just was so impressed with how on it and on point. I mean, I imitate you all the time when you zinger, or when you said something doesn't smell right on Waverly Place. I just quote you all up and down. So I am a big fan.
You have a lot of big fans, because I remember. Did you know that you were? Because that we've talked about this because we've rewatched your episode, obviously, but you actually replaced somebody that week. And it was a kid who and he did a great job, but he just was not what you brought to the table at all. It was a totally different take on the character. He wasn't it wasn't this Italian Tony Soprano mobster thing at all. That wasn't in it whatsoever. It was crazy. And then halfway through the week, we do the table read and then the run throughs. And I think after the producers run through, they replaced him. Did you know that you would replace somebody?
I didn't know. So first off, I want to say, David, not to take anything away from what Selena has become, and Jen and David and Jake and everybody on the show. But when it comes to true Hollywood royalty, you were the only one that I knew
it's
on
true.
the show because of who you are. We aren't worthy. Literally. And being able to meet your mother on set, I tell everybody about that. Your mother's a true legend. Your father's a legend, and you are a legend. And it was such an honor to work with you. And that was just, me coming into it. And then, obviously everybody who was in the film, in the show became what they became. But it was only really, it was double D's, as I like to call them.
Excuse me, it's triple D. There's a Dominic in the middle.
And Paulie, thank you for saying that. That means a lot, and I'm so glad that you got to meet my mom. And I'm a little speechless. That makes me feel really good, and I appreciate you saying that.
Funny story how it's connected. Peter has known me since I was about 7 years old. Peter wrote and EP'd the show that I was on with Faith Ford and Kelly Ripa, Hope and Faith. So when I say I go back with Peter, I go way back. I remember when his son Joaquin was born, and I remember seeing him, become bigger, and then he was a pitcher, the whole 9 yards. So I think midway through the week, I was in LA at the time, and I don't remember if I was on the lot or something to that effect. I don't remember the whole story. But it just sort of happened where they called me, my agent, and made it happen. And obviously Peter knew my background and knew I was from New Jersey and could do the whole thing. And it went from there.
Yeah. So good. It's so funny. And we're very lucky that Peter knew you, worked together, so we could bring you in. That was, it's so funny how things happen like that.
Yeah. Well, it's a small world of you work with somebody, they make an impact, and then you want to work with them again and again, you know? And that's why I'm working with you again.
Well, thanks, Jen.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and another crazy connection, we were just talking about it before we got on, is, my sister on Hope and Faith, Macy Cruther, very well.
Yeah. Which is what we were just talking about too, like before we started recording this whole shindig, is what's crazy is like it's such a small, weird world, life, whatever, because you worked with Macy for so long. I've known Macy. We auditioned together and had like our small little group of like child actor friends in LA. And then she ended up becoming a nurse as well. And so like she like gave me tips because she graduated a little bit before me of like, okay, well, when you get out, I think the last time we went, maybe not a couple times before, we were at brunch and there was like a car accident. She's like, I gotta go. And she was like, because I hadn't graduated nursing school yet. So I didn't have my license. I wasn't qualified at the time. But she like jumped in. She's like, I took an oath and like went to the car accident to make sure everybody was okay. So amazing that you guys
do that. That's a beautiful thing. And I love that you guys have that, her in common.
It's just such a small world. Well, did you have a question? Because if not, I got lots of them.
Yeah, I had more of a I love Paulie gushing moment.
We can just do that.
And
for
I
30
don't know.
minutes.
I don't know what's going on. I'm so emotional. I feel like you every holiday, every once in a while, Paulie would just text me out of the blue.
Yeah.
And say, Merry Christmas, thinking about you, any holiday. And it really meant a lot. And I don't know why. I'm like, it really touched me. So I want to say genuinely thank you for being a wonderful person, because there's a lot of shitty people out there in this business, So you really, you made me feel very good a lot. So thank you for that. Now Jen has a question.
Well, he's a class act. I'm going to talk about you like you're not here. He's a class act. He always has been, 11 and on, So one of the things, like David, you kind of touched on this, is the fact that like you came in swinging when you were 11. You were so comedically mature. So like, how did you get into acting?
Yeah.
Who were some of your comedy influences other than David and Dom DeLuise? But yeah, so how did you get into acting, and who were some of your comedic influences?
So, I guess it was a two-pronged thing. First off, I'll say one of my biggest comedic influences is Jim Carrey. From a standpoint of, I don't know if a lot of our viewers will remember this, but you guys certainly do. I think I broke 3 VHS tapes, if you remember what those were.
Wait, hold on, Paulie, stand by. VHS tapes were things like CDs that they were about 3 inches by 5 inches, and you would put them into a machine, and then you would play. And the big thing about the VCRs, which played the VCR tape, is that no one knew how to set the timer to try to record it. I don't mean to interrupt you.
I think now you're going to have to explain, though, what CDs are.
Oh, CDs are round discs that you put into it. Okay, Paulie, you go. Right. Sorry.
Oh, that's so good. That's so anyway, I broke about 3 or 4 VHS tapes just trying to mimic every facial expression and get down every line. And this is when I was, 3, 4, 5 years old. My mom would notice this. So then it eventually happened when somebody, would come up to me in the mall or something like that. They would see me, that was a big thing back in the day, whether, the Northeast. And my mom wasn't too big on it. My mom, I'm so blessed and fortunate that my mom understands what this business can do and how it can affect people, but understood and saw how much I loved it. So that's when she went ahead and made an appointment to meet with an agency, and we met with the agency, and they wanted to sign me immediately. And I was blessed and fortunate. I got the first commercial audition I ever went on, which,
what was that?
Doesn't happen often. It was an Oreos commercial. And
nice.
It was so cool. As like a 6-year-old, they flew us out. We flew out to LA, and we filmed at Universal Studios, and like we were next to Spider-Man was filming, and the Grinch was filming next to us.
Hell yeah!
And it was so cool.
As a 6-year-old, that's the dream.
Bucket. Yeah, my oh yeah. Well, and 2, my mother's like super proper, so spitting and those things are never allowed.
Yeah.
So for me, I ate so many Oreos. They were like, here's a spit bug. I was like, Ma, I got to do what I got to do. They're telling me. So, it was just this amazing experience. Yeah. So
And what was your first job after the Oreo that you auditioned for? What was the first job that you booked?
Well, actually, it was funny. While I was doing that commercial, I found out I got 2 more commercials that I had gone on an audition for.
Oh my God.
And it was just
what a terrible problem
You're
to
like
have.
the boy wonder. Jeez.
Yeah. Well, I was very fortunate. And then I wound up, I think Jersey Girl was really the first film that I was in. And it was, it was a great experience. Another Jersey guy, Kevin Smith. And Raquel Castro is in it with me. We kind of have this back and forth where we play doctor, which was a very funny time. And there's another connection that I still talk to Raquel all the time, and we were 6 when we did that. We're like walking the red carpet holding hands at 7 years old.
I was just going to say this, Paulie. I don't know if you're going to be able to answer this, but at 6, at 10, 11, you acted like you were a 65-year-old Italian man. Like you and Tony Soprano were like buddies. So did you have an uncle? Did you have something other than watching Jim Carrey? What was it that got you to that mature level?
I was going to ask that same question. Like, what influenced Frankie? Like, it just seems so realized so quickly.
Yeah. So characters. Talk about characters. I had so many of them growing up. I was raised by my mother, my grandmother, and my sister, so all women. And I was very early on. I learned the words "yes, you're right." So in that,
I was about to say, no wonder you're a class act.
And then I had sort of my grandfather, who was an influential guy, Jimmy, in my life, and he was just the classic Jersey diner cook who, was in there gambling after hours, sleeping in the things, just sort of these characters. And he got me to fall in love with the Elvis. He was the one who used to sing Elvis and Sinatra with me. And, he taught me how to throw a baseball, football. He was the guy that really did that. And then along with my mother and my grandmother, who my grandmother got me to fall in love with, Tommy Dorsey, Glenn Miller, all these wonderful band leaders of the 30s and 40s that we sort of lost nowadays. Nobody really knows them, but they made sure, and I was so blessed that they introduced me and made me enjoy this music and the culture.
No, but Paulie, you're speaking my language because those are all of my favorites. Have you been to the Cicada Club downtown LA?
I actually haven't. You know how long it's been since I've been to LA?
I mean, I don't blame you. I'm looking to take a break myself. But if you ever are back here, hit me up. We'll go, because it's like you step back in time into like a 1930s swing club, and it's all that style of music. And like, they have like 1930s, 40s style drinks. That was where I had my Sweet 16.
Yeah. It was very cool.
One of my favorite places in Los Angeles. So if you ever do wander back here, let me know. We'll go, because that's my jam. I love that music. So I just love hearing someone else who's younger that likes it.
Influencing both of you came from your family, and you were opened up and shown the past, the cool people from the past, which I think helped bring that up. I want to ask you about the Wizards for a second. I know Peter brought you in. Did you audition, or did they just bring you in and you came in? Because it was like you were replacing someone and it was last minute. And also, what other things do you remember from that shoot?
So I think I did. I may have read for them while I was there, or I came on, but it was, like you said, it was a very rushed process, and it just sort of snowballed into one thing after another. Obviously, Peter knew where I could take it. or where we could go with it. And I just remember, the biggest thing is the ability that they allowed me to come in and make this part
Yeah.
my own. Even from a standpoint of my hats, those were all my personal hat collection.
Yeah, the flat cap.
Yeah, the Kangles, and for me, it made it just brought the character to life and made me embody this thing. And um, I'm so grateful that they allowed me to do that. And there were things like we were talking before with the zinger.
Oh, well, let me tell you about that, Paulie. So everybody knows Disney, if I may, because Paulie has a wonderful line in Curb Your Dragon, which is the dog episode where the Russos get a dog and you never see the dog again in the whole series, which is so funny. But Disney said to all of the powers that be who ran the show, we need more zingers. We want more zingers, which for people that don't know is a boom, is a thing, is a joke.
Is a setup punchline.
Yes, we need more jokes. But they said zingers. So then they actually literally had you say, zinger. And you can't say zinger. You got to say zinger.
You got to end with a GA.
And something doesn't smell right on Waverly Place. You know what? I'm again, I'm going to toot your horn, my friend, because I was ready for Paulie to have a spinoff.
Right?
I was ready for that to be its own show because it was so funny. Like every single thing you say. And also, I may say that there's a newsstand inside Waverly Substation. And there was a man who was there who was an extra who was news. But then all of a sudden, it was a newsstand right outside of the sub shop that you were at, which was really funny. Man,
things just magically appear. They just magically appear.
Yeah, it's magic. World. It's magic.
Yeah.
Of course. Well, and we were a magic show, so we could very much justify it. But what David and I have talked a lot about, we lucked out so much with a lot of our players that came to play with us because we had so many people, and yourself definitely included, who came and just committed 110%, brought so much beyond what was on the page. And I love hearing, I didn't know that you brought your own hats, the wardrobe, you helped influence, that brings me so much joy to know that you were that involved in creating that character all the way through, because you really did just bring it and come and swing in right from the beginning. What were some of your favorite Frankie moments?
Oh, yeah. First, I want to say that, going back to, I was privileged to work with so many talented and wonderful actors and masters of their craft. And the one thing that is a unanimous thing is that whether you have one line or you have 100 lines, you have to be so present and show up and be there. And I'll be honest, whether it was, Faith Ford or Kelly on Hope and Faith, or whether it was Ben Affleck or even Meryl Streep, even if you're off camera and you have a line with another actor, you stay there. That's
amen.
There's no questions asked there. That's just a respect. That's a respect that you give that other human being who is in the same field as you. And when you truly love this movie making, television making, whatever it is, this creative process, you have to give up yourself and take what you do seriously, not yourself.
Yeah, it's so true. We were talking about before too, about how, when I first started, I had one of my acting coaches who has been with me through a lot of this and is a friend more than an acting coach. But she said to me, she goes, the sad part is she's 95, maybe 98% of actors are in it for personal reasons. And in the sense of they're in it for validation or because they need something external. It's not an internal reason. And then there's that select few that are true, tried and true actors that just love the art of it. They don't need anything else. They just need to act. They need to create. They're just artists, and that's part of their expression. And you are one of those ones that just in the way that you talk, the way that you conduct yourself, the way that you are such a collaborator on set, Like you're one of that like few percentage of actors that you can tell is just an artist and just is there because you love the art and the creativity of it. And it's so refreshing.
Yeah.
Because like you get actors that are so like, look at me, look at me, look at me. And it's like the really
Are
great.
you saying that that's me, Jen?
No,
I'm
not
kidding,
at all.
I'm kidding.
Not at all.
Wait, look at me, look at me.
I gotta do my comedy. No, of course not. There's different personality types, but
I know.
because the thing is here's the bottom line is someone who is an actor because they love other actors and they love the art does exactly what Paulie was saying is they show up for their other actors and they're there to collaborate and tell the best story that they possibly can. It's not about them.
Right, 100%. I am just in awe of you and that. And you know, if any people are listening, if you guys are listening and you want to be an actor, you listen to what Paulie just said because that is the key. And making a choice. I mean, geez, we've talked about making a choice. You were the choice. You know what I mean? Like you know, there was nothing that was there prior in that part that you did that, you know, you brought it all there. You know what I mean? Like that was,
well,
you
were the only you.
Going back, we're piggybacking on what you said, you know, speaking about business, you guys, we could all sit here and talk for a million years about how the business has changed. But I think one of the big things, and David, you would know the best, is that we got rid of character actors. What's wrong with being a character actor?
Yeah.
I mean, to me, Philip Seymour Hoffman is the biggest character actor out there. He can make you laugh. He used to be able to make you cry, and he went from character to character. You know, we've made it where, you know, we want to be. Everybody wants to be The Rock or Tom Cruise, and I'm not taking away. They're great. They're great people.
Yeah.
You know, we bow to them and what they do in making money. But we've lost a part of the business that really can help tell stories, which are the character actors.
You know, you make a great point. I think I have to wonder because like the big shift I think that happened is like the social media aspect and then also to like a lot of the superhero movies, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's like I have to wonder if we shifted from character actors because everyone needed to be a superhero. Everyone needed to be the antagonist rather than, you know, all of the different shades and flavors that character actors often bring.
Yeah.
You know, because we kind of shifted from those stories. So I just wonder if that's part of the correlation. But that's an excellent point because you're right. The character actors are few and far between to where they used to be.
Well, I think would Batman be there without Robin? You have to have a Robin to tell that story. You know, he's there to help him go through. And you know, that's just the part of storytelling that you have to have.
When you worked with Meryl Streep, what was that like? Tell us a little bit about that experience. And now Selena's working with Meryl Streep on Murders in the Building.
Yeah,
right? Well, what was it like working with? Real quick, they were referring to her in the Leonardo DiCaprio movie as the goat, and she thought they were all like the old goat. You know, but it's the greatest of all time. Okay, I'm going to stop talking. Tell us the Meryl Streep story, please.
She is undoubtedly 100% the GOAT. She is. It is a just spectacular to not only be in a film with her and work with her, but more importantly, just sit there and watch her. When I tell you, it is a light switch. It is the most incredible thing to see. It is as easy for her, like we just turn on the lights. I mean, she has the ability. She knits or crochets. I forget which one is the one with the one on set, and she'll be telling you a joke 1 minute, talking about the news, and then the next minute she's crying and yelling at Philip Seymour Hoffman. Just boom, just like that. And to be able to witness that and be a part of it, I'm forever grateful. There's another situation where I met with John Patrick Shanley, and I had read for 4 different parts in that movie. And I kept going back and reading with him, and he was like, well, you're not really right for this one. You're not right for that one. But you remind me of these kids that I went to school with in the Bronx. So can we write you in a part, and would you do it? And I mean, of course, you're like, yeah, duh.
Yeah, I think so.
I think a lot of actors feel like they have to. I mean, look, for me, I bring some of myself. I do some imaginary circumstances. But if I want to be sad, I think about something terrible happening, and then I can get into sadness.
I thought you pluck a nose hair.
I do pluck a nose hair. My dad told me when you're filming something, when you're close up, make sure there's no snot in your nose. Lick your lips, he said, and if you need to cry, pluck a nose hair. But I loved what you said, that she's knitting, she's talking about news, she's telling jokes, she's having fun, she's being who she is, and then she, like a light switch, goes in and works and does her job, which I mean, she's amazing.
Well, yeah. Like I said, she is the greatest of all time, truly.
Yeah. But that's a good point you bring up about work. And that's another thing that I'm so grateful that my mother taught me. Being a child actor, we think that everything's playtime. This is not playtime, right? We're here to work, she would tell me.
Yeah.
She said, this is your job. When you're done doing your job, then there's playtime. And there's a clear separation. Whatever's going on, when you walk through that building, you're working.
Now, it's so interesting to hear you say that, coming, because you and I started around the same age. I started at 6 as well, and then professionally when I was 9. And my parents did the same thing, to where they were like, this is work. You take this seriously. You have to be an adult. I mean, they tried to allow me to be a kid as much as possible, but it is an adult environment. So you have to be an adult as much as possible without losing that like beauty and that essence of being a child. But what's interesting to me, and I have to ask you this question, is, and maybe this is just a me thing, but you know what I struggled with when I got older was I got the note all the time, you're too serious. You're just too serious. Because in my head, I was like, well, I'm at an audition. I'm on set. This is serious. This is work. Like, I can have fun, but, I would get the note all the time. You're too serious. You need to
while you were acting or when you were not acting?
I guess when I was not acting. But I was like, I had the joke that I'm like, what do you want me to do? Like, come do like Coke on the table and then like do my scene? Like, what do you want from me? But that was did you ever get that where they were like, you need to loosen up a bit. You're too serious. Or is that just a me problem? It might be a me problem.
Yeah. No, it's not a you problem. It's just, I kind of, and I don't know if you guys remember this, but I kind of, I come in there, I do what I have to do, and then I'm out. I don't really linger. I don't really hang around. So for me, I never, I hate to say it, I never stay around long enough to hear anybody's notes.
No, it's smart. But here's the thing: it's a healthy separation, which is probably why you're not like Looney Tunes at this point. You know what I mean? Like, you're still normal, grounded, like awesome Paulie.
Well, that's up for debate.
Well, I mean, we're all actors. We're all little nuts. That's part of that's part of the job.
After you were on Wizards and it played, were you out and people seeing you, recognizing you from that, or from your other work and stuff?
There's never a time when it wasn't Wizards. It was the funniest thing. Wizards had such a impact on everyone, and they did a wonderful job of just sharing this message of this family and this thing that they created and the culture there, and people just loved it. And even into my later years, even today, it's just hilarious how many people are like, wait a minute, you're the guy who wears the tracksuit on Wizards of Waverly Place?
Yes.
Yeah, that was me. Yeah, I'm like, forget about Speed Racer, forget about Doubt, Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind.
That's what kills me.
Just
it's like
about
you've done all these, like, your resume is amazing.
Yeah.
Like, you've worked with all these incredible people. Like, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is one of my favorite movies.
100%.
Like, it's unbelievable. After you were on the show, I remember going back and watching that movie and being like, where is he? Where's he at? Like, that's so cool. Like, I just like, I think it was Jake.
It's like this big time.
I think so. I know. It's like, it was super quick, but I know the scene. It's like I said, I've seen that movie so many times. I love that movie.
Yeah,
but that's what blows my mind.
For me, it was just about, being able to work and meet Jim that early on in my career.
Yes.
It set me off. It just was like, I was like, wow. And so I was just in awe then, when I
that was a good.
Yeah. So grandma at her house still today, you can see me like 6.5 years old with Jim, and it's just it's pretty funny.
I love that. Now, did your love for Jim Carrey come before that project, so you could really appreciate it when you did that job, or did it come after?
Oh no! It was way before. I was
Okay,
just,
that makes it even more
like I said
special.
with Ace Ventura. I just couldn't. I could not. Yeah, I could not get enough. And then when I saw him on, I started diving deeper as I got older with A Living
Yeah.
Color and all these great movies. In fact, the funniest thing, you'll love this story, and this is talk about growing up quick. Mom and my mother and I, we were so excited. This new movie's coming out. Me, Myself, and Irene. And
my God, how old were you?
I'm about 7 years old, I guess, or 8 years old, somewhere around there when it came out. I'm not really sure.
Oh God.
So mom's like, we gotta go see it. It's Jim. We gotta support him. Like she's super psyched about it. And so we go. And we're laughing hysterically the whole time, obviously. And the lights go on. And everybody's death staring my mother. Like, how could, and she has.
Because you bring a 7-year-old to this movie where Jim Carrey's taking a shit on the lawn, right?
Exactly. But from then on, she told me that, this is just a movie and blah, blah, blah. It was a learning experience.
For both of you, it sounds like. Okay, so we kind of like sprint past because this is how all of our brains work. But I want to hear your favorite Frankie moments, and then we have to wind down, unfortunately, like we always do. But I'm gonna grab our crystal ball. But
okay,
one of my favorites has to be so in the train car with me and David. There's a moment, I'm just slapping everything, obviously on the ground. But there's a moment of improv that I love because obviously we have such a big height difference at that moment. I look up to him and I'm like, come down to my level. And I just kind of tap him on
that was you. Amazing.
So you improv that moment?
Yeah. So that
makes me so happy.
Yeah. That was on the moment. And
like that's so
they kept it in, which
one
obviously you guys know better than anybody. Sometimes it doesn't work.
No, of course. And God, I praise your mom, your grandmother, and your sister. They did a very good job raising someone because the confidence to do that, to go in there. I mean, I'm
at 11. But also we have to remember
amazing.
He had worked with like Jim Carrey. He'd had his own TV show at this point. But he was experienced at 11.
Even with that, to come into a new place
it's true.
And to be like, hey, come down here. Boom, you give him a smack. I love it.
It's a hard position to come into as a guest star or as a reoccurring because you're coming into this established thing and you really have to just jump right in.
Yeah.
But you did. Did you feel any like hesitation or were you just there to play?
No, to me, I'm there to play. I want the tennis game, right? I mean, the essence of acting is reacting, right? And being able to play off that other person. And when you don't have another tennis racket that's hitting the ball back to you, guess what? It's hard to create a really cool, unique scene and act yourself. So for me, I was all gung ho because you guys remember, early on, you guys were. I was fortunate to come in at an early time in the first season to where you guys were sort of getting your back, your where you were and your footing.
Sure.
So I was able to come in there and do my stuff.
Yeah, and the big thing for us was we shot the entire first season before it was on television, which was great because it gave us, like you said, and brilliantly said, you focus on the work. It's not about you and this and that and the posting and the people and the fame.
Yeah, and the other thing I want to say is, guys, how lucky were we that we got to film at the historic Sunset Studios? I mean, you're talking about a place where Lucille Ball invented 3-camera. I mean, you have the genius that is Lucille Ball bringing a comedy to everybody, and they're like, wait a minute, hold up, let's put 3 cameras there and get more reactions. I mean, the genius that we were in the presence of. You know, it's like I got to perform. I was fortunate to perform at the Apollo Theater, and I got to rub, you know, the tree, the stump, and I turned to my mom and I said, "Do you realize Sammy Davis Jr. and Stevie Wonder touched this same thing?" That's such a humbling experience when you come onto a set like that and you understand the giants that were there before you.
It's so funny. You're like, I don't know why. I'm just so proud of you for being such a wonderful person.
He's your Italian son that's not related to you.
I know, right? And then, you know, it's funny what you said about, you know, because Jen and I both teach acting to kids. And one of the things I always say to them that my mom and dad said to me was acting is very ultimately simple. You listen and you react, you know, at what you do about what's coming. And you said that. You listen and you react. I mean, that's pretty simple, you know. But, I mean, obviously, there's a lot other things to it, you know.
But I love that you talked about, like, being humbled by the legends and the ones that came before you. Because when you put it in that kind of perspective, I'm like, perspective. But when you put it in that kind of perspective, it allows you to just, like, dispel the bullshit and get to the work that you care about and get to why you're there in the first place.
And why it's so special is because it's unique. Not a lot of people do that. I would say both of you really appreciated that.
We had good mamas.
Yeah.
It makes a big difference. We lucked out. I remember your mom just being so amazing. And my mom, I lucked out. We lucked out with really good ones because we've touched on too, of like there's some stage parents that aren't so awesome that want it more than their kids. And you and I had moms that just were there for us, and we were just kids that like to perform and actors,
right?
And, you know,
and the whole where are they now? I think fans want to know, what are you up to now? What are you doing?
Yeah, what are you into?
Yeah, so I've had a little. I've been all over. So I just recently last year. I don't know. I think, David, I told you, but, you know, I opened a textile factory in Jonesboro, Arkansas 4 years ago.
Awesome.
So I had this really, I had this, I guess, Jen, you'll understand this. Being a child actor, you kind of have to sometimes step away for a little bit and regroup and do some other things. And I had this really neat idea. Once I found out that a bale of cotton travels twice around the world before it gets turned into a T-shirt and sold to us in America, I wanted to go directly to the farm and make a T-shirt there. And I knew nothing about it, but what I did know, and I had the background of, and I'm so blessed for the business, is that anything's possible. Anything is possible if you put your mind to it. And you sit down with yourself and you say, hey, this is going to be tough. We're going to learn it. It's going to be a learning curve. But when you grow up on a film set, you see that anything's possible. You see people come in overnight and they build a set. And then the next morning you're in New York, or the next morning you're, in London. It doesn't matter. Or, sometimes you're in front of a green screen. And then, 18 months later, Speed Racer comes out. And you have never even seen what it's supposed to look like behind you. So when you have that, background, you just come at everything from a different standpoint, and you're able to say, hey, listen, this could be hard, but and it was, building the facility wasn't easy. It was a day-to-day process. So I did that for 4 years, and I built it up, and just like I said, last year I sold my shares. So I've been, in true Frankie fashion, I moved to Boca Raton, Florida.
Of course you did.
I play bocce ball every day.
Forget about it. Come on, get some bocce balls, get some pasta. Forget about it. Come on, bing bada boom.
Yeah. I go down. I go down the street, V&S Deli. I get some nice sliced deli meats, and that's it. Wow, you know what I mean? Zinger!
Zinger! There it is. You know, I want to go to Boca right now and see Paulie.
Right?
Come
I
on.
do too. Let's take a trip.
I'm coming there.
Let's take a trip.
I just want to ask you this, and then I think we're going to do some crystal ball questions. But you said you sold your shares, but where were the shirts selling? Where did you put the product?
Yeah, so a lot of we made blanks, so a lot of them wound up with a great, wonderful company, Gearhead, in Arkansas, and they're kind of like this really cool independent REI. So we went a lot with them, and they used to get a ton, and they're still there. And then I started to diversify into selling just straight yarn. But now I'm back to something that I love, which is film. You know, I don't know. I think you guys know I produced when I was 17. I had the opportunity to go behind the camera and produce, and so that's what I've been working on now. I have a couple scripts I'm working on and things like that. Which I don't know about you guys, but being behind the camera may be just as fulfilling than being in front of the camera. You know, reading words on a piece of paper and watching them be turned in, or actually creating them into a film or a television show, it still blows my mind every time.
Paulie, congratulations on doing everything you do. When I grow up, I want to be just like you. And I usually make a joke and say, you know, hey, is there a part in it for me? But I'm not joking. When you do something, is there a part in it for me? Don't forget about David Dolby's
You're
over here.
Italian, Dad.
I can even do craft service, by the way. I'm willing. Okay, Paulie.
Well, can I just say one
listen,
thing?
Yes.
Listen, first off, that's the best part about producing is being able to call friends. You know, being able to call people that you work together and work together again, because that's what it's all about is friendships and lasting relationships in the business that keep us going.
Yeah, it's
amazing.
so true. Well, and I love the two thoughts. Like, I love that you talked about, like, as a child actor, expanding outside of the business, seeing what else you're capable of, because your whole world is acting. And so to see, like, hey, I'm so much more multifaceted than just being a triple threat or whatever, like they want you to be as a kid actor. But also too, like, just the fact of, like, I love, we're storytellers. So it doesn't surprise me one bit that you're enjoying telling stories behind the camera, and I'm right there with you. Congratulations on just being amazing. You always were and still are. You
said, and I'm butchering the quote, but like, well, you can do anything. Anything is possible, and that's something my mom always said to me is, you know, you have a gift. Give your gift. You can do anything you want. And what I'm going to do now is I have a wand. You're like, there's my wand. And we have crystal ball questions. And for everybody who's not seeing, I'm opening and I'm picking a question for Paulie that Jennifer Stone is going to.
Well, you got to give it to me right
there. You go.
I can't read up.
Sorry.
What's a storyline you'd like to have explored with your character?
That's a good one.
Well, I mean, clearly the easiest one is Selena and I.
True.
I mean, a Bronx Strami Swiss and a kiss never happened. So, you know,
I forgot about that.
There's a debt that may need to be paid.
Yeah, and then she's like, "How about just nothing?" And then you're like, "All right, I'll give you, this and a nice hug or something like that, right?" Oh man,
I totally forgot about that.
Everybody who's listening,
meaningful hug.
A meaningful hug, right?
Maybe Frankie will come to collect,
forget about it. Everybody, if you haven't watched, listen, if you're just tuning in now and you've not watched any Wizards, you watch Curb Your Dragon.
Why are you listening to this podcast?
Why are you listening to the podcast first? And watch Paulie in Curb Your Dragon. It's some of the best thing I've ever seen. I'm just such a fan.
There's so much joy. I know we're gonna stop just like schmoozing all over you, but like there's so much joy to Frankie.
Yeah.
No offense to, like, I think it was Joey that came back in season 3. I don't know him as well, but Frankie just was so joyful, and amazing. You are so, like, such a joy as a human being, as an actor, and we love you so much, and thank you for making the time.
Yeah.
And just still being fabulous and awesome after all these years.
We appreciate you. as an actor, as a person, entrepreneur, and a man who wears a
man bun.
Very well. We heart you, Paulie. Thank you so much for being here, my friend. Is there anything you want to say to the world?
I just want to say thank you. Thank you to you guys. It was such a pleasure working with you all those years ago and continuing our relationship on. And it's just such a unique experience to be able to sit here and talk to people who still enjoy what we did all those years ago. That's really the neat part about the evolution of our business, right? You know, it's an evolution
our fans,
of our business where we get to sit here and talk about them. Talk about what we did all those years ago and share our personal experiences with them. And thank you for watching is really all you can say. Thank you for enjoying. Thank you for continuing to keep this show relevant.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we're very lucky to be a part of that and lucky to have worked with you. And Paulie, thank you so much for being here. We heart you very much.
I heart you guys too. And hopefully we'll see you soon.
I would love that. Yes.
Cool. All right. Bye, everybody. Thank you for listening to Wizards of Waverly Pod.
Hey guys, thank you so much for checking out this week's episode of Wizards of Waverly Pod. And if you want clips from this week's episode, head on over to the Podco YouTube channel. The link is in the description to follow. And if you just can't get enough wizards in your life, I know I can't, then head on over to our Patreon and follow for exclusive weekly bonus content. The link is also in the description. I'll see you next week.